Speaking of somebody else that's been highly insulted, apparently now, and this is somehow karma or kismet or poetry in motion or something at work. Uncle Dave Meltzer's favorite wrestler used to be Ric Flair, and now Ric Flair's daughter was to kick Dave Meltzer's ass. How did we get here, Brian? Fill us in.
Well, from what I understand, on one of the audio shows that they do on Dave and Brian Alvarez's website, f4wonline.com, I think, WrestlingObserver.com. They have different website names for reasons I don't understand. But there was an audio show, and a comment was made about the status of Charlotte, who, of course, as we remember from the limited watching we had done, was set up in a feud with Lacey Evans, and then Lacey got pregnant in real life, and They were setting up Charlotte and Asuka, and then they told Charlotte she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And they pulled her off TV.
They wouldn't believe her when she said she wasn't. They pulled her off of WrestleMania.
So Dave reported, and if you want to hear it, I have audio here. It's pretty short, and it is news, and it's going around.
In fairness, this is on Twitter. We're not playing somebody else's audio without permission. This is all over because it's a clip of what he actually said. And in fairness, if we're going to talk about it, we should hear exactly what Dave said, right? So we're not trying to leech off of his program.
That's right. And just to clarify where this started, Charlotte had tweeted out a couple of photos of her. I assume they're recent photos. And it had a quote, "The principle is competing against yourself. It's about self-improvement, about being better than you were the day before." To which an account named Blu-ray Wrestling, the other name is Dave Meltzer Botches, which gives away what the site is, what this account is, I should say. They said, "But Meltzer said you were getting a, quote, complete makeover because you're subconscious about your looks." So here's the audio.
Wait, because you're subconscious about your looks.
Subconscious. So here's the audio. Again, I assume it's from a couple days ago. It's relatively short, but this is from the Wrestling Observer podcast.
Charlotte. Yeah, so the suspension is a cover reason because she's having dental work done. So she's just having a complete makeover, and that's just basically what's happened. So it's one of those things with, they make you real subconscious about your looks when you're a woman in wrestling, and it's just one of the negatives about it, but it's a reality of it. And so, but that's why she's going to be out. That's why she was suspended.
And there's Dave's quote. So before you comment on that, just to set the tone, coming out of that, which was from this Dave Meltzer Botches account, Charlotte replied, quote tweeted, and said, "Yeah, I just listened. I thought Dave Meltzer would have learned his lesson last time commenting about women's bodies, but apparently I'm fair game. So I get to respond, again, to a rumor about my body. Again. You know what? This is when I stop. Dave, go to hell.
Boo!
You have my phone number. It would take you 30 seconds to ask, as opposed to giving straight crap to your listeners. Grow up. For you, of all people, to comment on a woman's looks. Do you have any shame, decency, or professionalism left at all? Find a mirror. Look hard, Dave." And those are the words tweeted out by Miss Charlotte WWE, or at Miss Charlotte WWE, Charlotte Flair.
I don't know if Dave can see his reflection in a mirror anymore. But, oh my God, first of all, what a ham-tongued thing to say and way to say it. Just first off, apropos with anything, anytime that a man says a woman is self-conscious, not subconscious about her appearance, but self-conscious, whether a woman is self-conscious or not, she's self-conscious about people telling people she's self-conscious. So he was headed down the wrong road there to begin with. Secondly, she's having a complete makeover with dental work, or she's in the middle of she looked pretty goddamn good to begin with. She's looked pretty good for several years that we've been seeing her. She's acknowledged that she had a boob job. I'm trying to see if I can use one hand and count the number of girls in the business that haven't had a boob job, and I've still got some fingers left over. That could easily go south, so I won't make any other comments. But besides, what did she have a hump removed from her back that we were not aware of, Brian? Did she used to be the hunchback of Charlotte, North Carolina? Or, why would he say something like that? And especially if she is having her teeth capped, well, don't we all like to have a nicer smile? But is that, or has she ever had a complete makeover, especially by the standards of people in the entertainment business? I don't think so. But that was just that makes it sound like it's some cover reason that she's not even having dental work done, that she's going to some clinic in fucking Venezuela or somewhere where they're gonna fucking, I don't know, inject her with monkey hormones and take several unnecessary parts off of her body or something. I don't blame her for being pissed off when something like that is said. What the fuck? Did he have to say that in that way? I mean, he's supposed to be normal, not like me and not give a shit. And why would you do that to Charlotte? One of the few halfway fucking decent talents they've got that doesn't goddamn do anything else stupid or silly or phony or whatever. I don't get the whole fucking deal. What do you think?
Well, I will say I did read in The Observer when Dave reported it in there. He said that Charlotte is out due to oral surgery or dental work. I forget the exact phrasing, but he put who the source was. He said, like, as reported by this person. So Dave is repeating in this audio what he had heard and what he thinks is a valid story.
Well, it might be a valid story. She's having dental work, but did he have to go on and hypothesize about her mindset, about her appearance, and or about that give people the impression that she's, having her leprosy removed or whatever?
It was a bit of an awkward phrasing of words and words put together for. I mean, I don't know what he was trying to get at there.
This might be shocking.
I think I know, but
I'm starting to think that Dave Meltzer doesn't know how to get laid. It may be shocking to people he's not a fucking pussy magnet, but he may not know how to talk to women.
Well, he's not trying to get laid on there, but I mean, the other thing is,
I didn't mean from Charlotte. I just mean if that's an example of his fucking communications with the opposite sex. I know a lot of people out there going, Cornette, well, I didn't mess around with the female wrestlers.
The other thing is to look at this from a different point of view and try to have a serious discussion and try to have this discussion in a vacuum. And I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings here or anything. And I don't know exactly what Dave was getting at, but I think I may have a hunch in his own unique way. But, Michael Jackson was the biggest thing in the fucking world in the early 80s. When I was a kid, when I was like 3 years old, Michael Jackson, he was like a pop star superhero. He was massive. And then like around 87, 88, the Bad album, at a certain point you couldn't ignore what was a weird, awkward thing, which was Michael looks a lot different than he did.
He's changing.
In the Jackson 5, let alone in the Jacksons, let alone when he went solo. Now he's not so black anymore. He looks white. I mean, at a certain point, you have to acknowledge it. And I will say that there are certain women in wrestling who, it appears,
who look like a duck-billed platypus.
It appears they have had a lot of, or at least they've had considerable, or they've had any plastic surgery to their face to the point where it changes their appearance, which we know because we see them regularly on TV up to 52 times a year, maybe more. And I think that's where it gets a little awkward because we don't know what the real reason is, or at least Charlotte's saying this is not the real reason.
But Charlotte does not look like that to me. Has she changed drastically from the time we first saw her?
I think again, talking about this in a vacuum, but I think if you look at photos of Charlotte a few years ago and Charlotte a few years after that and Charlotte now, there are some changes that are, I think, noticeable if you watch the show ever. And we don't watch
She's
regularly.
not been turned into the Catwoman. That picture of that Catwoman that wants to be a cat.
She was all over the New York papers years ago. No.
Yeah, we didn't do that. No.
But I think, Dave kind of went to the assumption.
Well, then wouldn't that be wouldn't that be an example of in Meltzer's case, Nunya, Dave?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
As long as it's not like everybody, when Charlotte's nose falls off like Michael Jackson's fell off, then maybe we should say, as long as Charlotte's got her nose, leave her the fuck alone.
Well, that's my point. And whether she is or isn't having plastic surgery, assigning it to feelings that you're assuming she has because of the business she's in about her looks, like that's where it's crossing over a line, maybe.
It's like I was tempted when I was on television, a big superstar and traveling the world, to have that dick augmentation. But instead, I said,
Were you now, really?
No, but I was at one point, I was already on the plane to Bolivia. But then I say, no, I'm just going to work with what I got.